Today on Outside the Box Reviews, we are closing out Slashers Week, and what better than to go with the figure that closed out Mezco Cinema of Fear line. Today we're looking at the Mezco Cinema of Fear Series 4 Debbie Stevens figure from A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. And this is the figure that I hold up every time somebody's like, yeah, we really need to get more victims in all these horror franchise lines. This was, I think, really the third real attempt I ever saw of this. And we're not talking about like a movie hero like Sarah Connor or something. We're talking about just a straight up person terrorized by the monster. Previously, Mezco had done a Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street. They had her with the glove coming up in the bathtub. And I think by this point, McFarlane had already done their version of the chick from the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But Debbie here was a notorious peg warmer and probably one of the biggest failures in the entire Cinema of Fear line. Debbie comes with her Roach Motel base here. You can see it's just kind of orange and yellowy. Basically look like the sticky crap at the bottom of a Roach Motel. You can see your footprints in here and the two pegs. Pretty simple base. She comes with the actual roach trap. It's just a black box made of plastic. Says roach trap on the one side, actually both sides there. It's got kind of semi-open ends here, so you can almost see in it, but no real detail. She comes with her two hands, and these look really crummy. The sculpt isn't great, and the paint really is just washed out. She has her red fingernails. Oh, they just look like they're almost made out of Play-Doh or something. And here on the end we have the gore, the bloody stumps there. These don't attach to the figure in any way. They're just meant to sit on the display base and be static pieces, and I think they're just a little crummy in that respect. Debbie herself in the package comes with the roach arms detached, and you have to plug them into her bloody stumps here. Her face bears a passing resemblance to the character from the movie, the actress. I've said many times before that Mezco has a very stylized design for their characters, and it kind of works with Freddy or Jason. Doesn't really work so much when you're trying to replicate an actual person, and this just doesn't look right to me. As I said before with the hands, the skin tone on here is overly simplistic and really just makes it look putty-ish. The eyes are okay, they're looking really far off to the side. The hair has some okay shading and sculpt to it, but nothing spectacular. She has the two little roach legs coming out of her arms here, the big gory messes of latex coming down to the sides. It just looks like a mess. I know it kind of looks like the makeup, but it's just a mess. Kind of the sweat stain painted on her shirt there. Shirt doesn't really have much detail. There's a couple of wrinkles at the bottom here. She has her belt, which is nicely done, and her leggings, because it was the 80s. You come down to the bottoms of her legs, and they just look kind of cankly and fat down here. Then she has black socks going into completely black shoes, so no paint detailing here whatsoever. And that's really a major problem with this figure, is just lack of any paint detailing. Flat black leggings, skin tone, more flat black. The roach arms are okay in their detail. They have all the little spindly parts stick out. They're okay. The paint's not bad. They're what they are, I guess. For articulation, she has a ball joint at the head, but because of the way she's sculpted and the way the materials were used here, her movement is incredibly hindered. The way her hair is sculpted, it goes over her shoulder like this. It can't really move at all. There's nowhere to go with it. So the ball joint is completely wasted here. As I said before, the roach arms come detached and you can peg them in. So it almost allows for a little rotation, but it doesn't mesh together when you rotate it. It only meshes together where it's supposed to be. So not really an articulation point there. And then she can swivel at the waist. This is one of those figures that just overall is unsatisfying. It's not very good looking, and then it doesn't have articulation, so there's really no redeeming qualities here. Doesn't look much like the actress, and it's not even that iconic of a death out of the series. I honestly don't think. I think there's much better ones. I would have rather just gotten a bed with a pillar of blood coming out and no Johnny Depp likeness. I would have much rather had a Terran or any of the kids from Dream Warriors, actually. There are much better victims in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, and this one's just not doing it for me. And as I said at the beginning of this review, I hold this up as the reason why they shouldn't waste their time doing victims. Victims aren't that interesting in most horror franchises to begin with. What's really interesting in horror franchises are the heroes or the anti-heroes. It's either the monsters who are all the cool looking things and all the cool makeup, or it's the characters that do go out and kick some ass, do go out and actually fight and do something cool. Characters that just exist to up the body count in a movie do not make for good action figures. So it's not recommend on Debbie here. Not a fan. Only picked her up because she was $2 at a local comic shop, and I figured I could review her and basically just trash on her for a little bit. And that's going to wrap up Slashers Week. Next week, we are going and delving into the dark, dark world of Clive Barker and reviewing some action figures based on his work. And when I say based on his work, really what I mean is I have a Candyman figure and a bunch of Hellraiser figures. But we'll be going into those all next week. And then the week after, we'll be wrapping it up with some Michael Myers leading up to the big day itself, Halloween. Make sure you check out Outside the Box Reviews on Facebook. There'll be a link below. Also check out Outside the Box Reviews on Instagram, username Outside the Box Reviews. And until next time, this has been another Outside the Box Reviews. And stay tuned as we continue looking at horror figures for the rest of October.